Trump revealed the bombshell Iran feared most. The war may move from airstrikes to the regime's territory this Monday, May 18, 2026. The White House faces a difficult decision with the option of sending special operations troops into Iran on a mission focused on the highly enriched nuclear material that is believed to be buried in strategic facilities. Delta Force became central to this discussion because it is a unit prepared for high-risk covert and direct missions. And just a reminder, this is the same Delta Force that captured Nicolas Maduro in Caracas on January 3, 2026. When American special forces entered Venezuela, they removed the dictator from power and took him to face charges. In the United States, Trump isn't talking about ordinary diplomatic pressure, but about a force that has already been used to target an enemy leader from within their own territory. I'll tell you all about that in a moment, but right now you'll want to be subscribed to the channel to stay well informed. Real-time information with the best journalistic quality. Already seen as a standard of credibility, Milson Alves is the kind of sign that shows Trump isn't just threatening Tehran. He is putting on the table a limited surgical invasion with a clear target to prevent the Iranian regime from recovering or hiding nuclear material. And the situation gained momentum after information released from sources cited by the New York Times indicated that the United States and Israel are preparing for a possible resumption of attacks against Iran later this week. The investigation also says that the preparations are the strongest since the ceasefire mediated by Pakistan at the beginning of April. Meanwhile, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth stated that Washington has a plan to escalate if necessary. Trump also made it clear that the Iranian regime had refused to recognize previous agreements and that the enriched uranium needs to be taken out of Tehran's hands. The most explosive part is the possibility of a ground incursion. The mission being discussed would not be a broad invasion to occupy all of Iran, but a special forces operation to reach nuclear material buried in sensitive areas, with military support around to protect the operation. That's why the name Delta Force comes up. This unit doesn't come into play for symbolic gestures. It comes in when the American government understands that the target is critical. Time is short, and the risk of letting the enemy act is greater than the risk of the operation. Military authorities acknowledge that a mission like this could result in casualties precisely because it would involve entering hostile territory, possible confrontation with Iranian forces, and the need for protection around the target. In other words, Trump hasn't ordered Delta Force to go through the door yet, but the door has already been placed in the middle of the room. Iran felt the blow even before boots hit the ground. Iranian state television showed presenters with rifles in the studio talking about learning basic weapon handling and about joining the war if necessary. That doesn't look like confidence, it looks like fear, organized as propaganda. A regime that always controlled its population now appears trying to sell the image of civil mobilization, as if society itself were a shield against a possible American intervention. This reaction shows the extent of the panic inside Tehran. The regime knows that bombing causes damage, but a ground operation changes the conversation. Airstrikes destroy infrastructure, but the entry of special forces is different. They search for documents, materials, scientists, facilities, and proof. That's the difference. It's brutal. If Trump really orders an operation against the nuclear material, Iran loses the comfort of hiding everything under concrete and then telling the world that nothing happened. The presence of special forces means that Washington wants to get hands-on with the problem, not just drop bombs from afar. Trump has also increased public pressure. He wrote that the clock was ticking for Iran and that Iranian leaders needed to act quickly, threatening consequences, severe consequences if they didn't move. Either Tehran provides real guarantees about the nuclear material, or the United States may turn the threat into military action. The espionage hunt broadens this scenario. The FBI is offering $200,000 for information leading to the capture and conviction of Monica Witt, a former counterintelligence specialist in the United States Air Force. Accused of defecting to Iran and handing over national defense information to the regime, she was indicted in 2019 and remains at large. This case is serious because it involves American secrets, intelligence networks, and possible direct assistance to the Iranian enemy. This manhunt doesn't happen separately from the crisis. It shows that Washington is dealing with Iran on two fronts at the same time, the nuclear front and the espionage front. On one side, Trump is pushing to remove or neutralize the incriminating material. On the other hand, the FBI is trying to reach a person accused of delivering sensitive information to the regime. The United States doesn't just want to contain Tehran militarily, they also want to dismantle the network that helped Iran understand American methods. The Iranian regime tries to respond at sea. A lawmaker linked to Iran's national security said that Tehran has prepared a mechanism to control traffic in the Strait of Hormuz through a designated route, and to charge fees for specialized services. The statement also indicated that only commercial vessels and parties that cooperate with Iran would benefit. This is economic and political pressure. Tehran wants to turn weakness into a threat. The regime is cornered by the risk of new attacks, the possibility of a ground operation, and American surveillance of its nuclear targets. Instead of backing down, it tries to create costs for ships, companies, and governments that depend on the Strait. The invasion being discussed now is not a slow march with flags and the occupation of the capital. It's a precision entry made to search for nuclear material and prevent Iran from using chaos as cover. That's the political bomb that Trump drops on Tehran. He's not just talking about attacking bases or destroying buildings. He puts forward the option of going in, taking what matters, and leaving the regime without Iran's most dangerous asset. That's strategic humiliation. The Revolutionary Guard factors into this calculation. As the hardcore of Iranian resistance, it controls the decisive part of the military structure, influences the nuclear program, and supports the regime's more aggressive stance. If the White House understands that this group might try to hide material, move pieces, or buy time, the presence of special forces becomes a direct response. Trump doesn't want to let Iran turn negotiations into theater. He wants to put pressure where it hurts, on the material, the commanders, the espionage channels, and the regime's ability to bluff. The next step depends on the political decision at the White House and Iran's reaction in the coming hours. If the regime insists on stalling, threatening Hormuz, and using its state TV to prepare the population for war, the ground option gains strength. Delta Force does not appear in this scenario. By chance, it appears because patience has run out, distrust has exploded, and Washington now treats the Iranian nuclear program as such. A target that needs to be hit, not just condemned. In a speech, I'm Milson Alves, an international affairs specialist, and my purpose is to keep you well informed with the truth every day. The news links are in the video description. Leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and at the end, check out the comments so you can be even more engaged with the community. Milson Alves, Amen.